Hello everyone, welcome to another Torchlight Infinite video. Today I'm bringing up the update for the Moto build, Moto Thunder Spirits. First of all, let's do a quick map. I'm running unjuiced P8s at the moment simply because I want to level up to 100. So I'm avoiding risk. But with the current state of the build, we can certainly probably run 8 threes or even deep space juiced. You just might die here and there. As you can see with God of War, it's fairly smooth to run a map very fast. Usually have some time to spare, then you finish it early and that's it. Okay, bossing. I don't want to risk death, but
when you look at it, something seems to be also.
I'll do once I level to 99. I'm gonna do a few bosses and upload in as a separate video and link it to this one. So for now, let's get into the changes. A few upgrades of note would be the crafted chest piece with physical damage taken as cold, and I added this mod, sealed mana. This is actually translated, upside down. It's actually increased aura effect per amount of reduced sealed mana that you have. So this will be 1 aura effect per 4 sealed mana that I have. So that comes around to 6 to 8% sealed aura effect for me at the moment. Of course, if you get a lot more sealed mana or you get the actual mod from the chest piece, this comes to, I think it's 3 effects per 4 or per 6. It's much better. Crafted this kind of GG amulet plus double elevated crit damage. The reason we're getting crit damage on the gear is because we have this mod, which you would get normally on Ward's Breastpin, but it's available now through Dream Crafting. And the tier 0 aura effect was an extremely lucky slam, therefore this energy shield is going to remain this way forever on this item. For the gloves, double elevated, crit damage spell skills, and the rest is all defensive. What you need on the gloves. I haven't got the corroded winter, but that is one of the important upgrades. The +2 mind diffusion, very important. Here, the ring, you want this elevated and either minion damage or crit damage elevated. This is the ring I'm using right now for this. And the weapon, I crafted this a few days ago. So elevated tier 0. I haven't really risked elevating crit damage because the last time I did it, I lost the explode. And for single target, you actually don't want the explode. You want another suffix such as double damage and maybe attack speed or gear attack speed. Or even gear crits. The consume is mandatory and you want this. I think 6% is still sustainable. And I got the damage applied to life, which is a more multiplier, so it's fine. On the original build, like is using damage LE pen. So I would have to craft another one to test which one is better. But this is what I have. Okay, regarding passive trees, still using machines and Vanguard. I think those two are the best options and are very hard to justify not using. For Vanguard, you have either resistance or curtain. I found them both to be similar. I haven't seen like a very spiky. The build biggest issue is recovery. The pull is somewhat of an issue, but recovery seems to be a much bigger issue than, you know, LE mitigation. So that's why I'm going for curtain, but I think it's a matter of testing which and everyone or of either of these will be better. Reflection is good, but you need better gear to be able to overdo this sealed mana conversion. But the additional aura effect, this is multiplicative aura effect, so it comes to a very high amount of damage. The own additional, this is good for defense and this is good for offense. Aura effect, still good. And I switched to empower skill level because I'm using Warlock now. From Warlock has very interesting things like skill duration, which is good for Dazzling Bloom and Machine Army. You get the seal mana here, which means you don't need it on Steel Vanguard, but you could argue that you could get the seal mana here to add reflection. That could be an option that I will test. Empower skill effect, again for Dazzling Bloom and Machine Army, a lot of damage is coming from there. CDR and +1 max energy charges, which means another cooldown usage, actually. This is good for when you're using a support such as Mass Effect, but it's overall decent to increase uptime of certain skills. And then, you know, just the +1 to all skills levels. These points are wasted, sadly. I don't get absolutely anything from this. But I found that the +1 is very good, and I don't really have anything else to grab on this tree. Maybe the LE res, but the rest of the things are mostly defensive, and I wanted to go for a balanced approach. But the notables are very impactful in my opinion. The additional cooldown recovery speed, and of course off the beaten track, which got buffed from +3 to +4. Since it sets the multiplier to 105, you can switch your aura setup a little bit. The other options that seem to be very similar offensively and defensively because of the swaps they allow you to make are Alchemist, because of Source. And this, it's a little bit more defensive. This is very good for defense, and actually I want this on a Slate. And offensively you get Talons of the Abyss, which comes to, I'm running usually like 500 what do you call growth, 500 growth, and you get it for every 40, so that is 12% additional cooldown, and 25% additional damage from this node. Very good. Battle Trumpet, if this was reduced attack speed, it would be insane for this build, but the additional is very, it doesn't help you that like the enhanced skill doesn't compensate the additional attack speed lost here. For Shadow Master is another one I used. Ward and life conversion you will be using here, and they make me get like 11,000 ES, but everything here is aura effect or energy shield is what you can get on this tree. But if you do this, like while running life conversion, I can actually use reflection, so that is another option. And the last one is the original, which is Blade Runner with conductive and multi-strikes. Right now I ditched all multi-strikes and I ditched all shock because I didn't find it to be that impactful in my opinion. But if you're running this tree, you will definitely lean into both of them. And regarding the slates, so I switched my pedigree from Mighty Guard to Ice Arm. It's exactly the same actually, because you can just take the one you don't get here. But I wanted to add another defensive option, so I went for Calm. Ideally here I would get a note for that. Broken Shell and Power, Resistance, or Adaptability, with adaptability being the one that I think is by far the best. Adaptability is this one. You convert 25% physical to elemental, so that's 25% basically ignored physical damage. And then you can get +4 max LE res. So with this, you could not run steadfast and instead run the evasion aura. What's his name? Nimbleness. You can roll nimbleness instead. And then you have physical mitigation. Of course, armor also mitigates some elemental, but you will kind of compensate that from having evasion, so you don't have to rely that much on ES recharge, or instead, you know, you could add another setup to get the ES the 4 start. Then another change I made is I was using here spell skill levels or lightning skill levels. I switched to passive because passive actually affects the auras, and this build is leaning into aura stacking. And it affects, of course, Thunder Spear as well. Damage taken by enemies in proximity. I think this works. You have to be very close though, but I think it works. Restore ES on severe injury. It's very noticeable when you have it. It comes in clutch to help you from one-shots. And then here you get ES charge cannot be interrupted. If you're going Warlock, you might not need this, so you grab it in the Warlock tree and you gotta grab another option here, either offensive or defensive. And these two are the same, you know, a start ES on low life is good. This, you can either get like crit damage per chaos or minion damage per, I think it's minion damage per order, additional minion damage per order, either one works. Whatever you get here, that crit damage works because of the breastplate mod. Additional damage, of course, would work because of the, you know, it directly affects the minions. Spell skill level or whatever skill level, lightning works as well. And here all skills is good because it affects the everything, the auras, the support skills, the empower defensive skills, everything gets affected by this. And of course some more seal mana here. This didn't change from the last version.
Hurry, we're going to miss the class.
Now, skills. Regarding skills, this is the same. I'm toying with different setups here in Nourishment. If you want the most damage, you don't use Rhythm, and then you just spam the skill yourself. With the amount of cooldown recovery that we have, we can use Mass Effects, we can use Mania, and you can use Pain Amp for increased duration, or, you know, add more cooldown reduction, either or. And then you get more damage than Rhythm, but, you know, since this skill you need to have 100% uptime, you might forget to click it. So Rhythm is more chill, at this for clear. Savage Guard with Harden for defense and some extra MS. Prayer only needs Rhythm, like you don't need to extend the duration of this, you know, there is no increased effects support, so you just use this. And then Machine Army still with Mass Effect. So with Off the Beaten Track, I'm now running with stand as 1, 2 offensive and 2 defensive auras, which is, I think these are the two that give the most damage. And of course you definitely want Energy Fortress and definitely want LE Res for the +1. For damage, I made a few changes here and I'm still testing it, but you know, testing minions with the dummy it's a little bit iffy. It doesn't give you accurate results all the time. So I was originally running both Servant Speed and Multi-Strike. The first thing I made was remove one of the other to get another multiplicative value rather than a speed value. So it came close, but Savage Growth seemed to be the best one of all. At least for Motor, it probably might not be the case for Iris. But you know, Iris builds differently the skill anyway. But for Moto, this seemed decent, and the fact that it has a light cooldown, it has like a 85-90% uptime. But since you're using this, since the minions are attacking so fast, they immediately refresh it once they lose it. So you don't really see it dropping as much. And here I'm testing between LA Fusion and Electric Overload. This right now is 38 additional, whereas that is what LA Fusion starts at level 16. This is already 44. So it's a no-brainer to me that LA Fusion should be better, but when doing the damage to the dummy, Electric Overload came very close, which doesn't make sense to me, but it does, dummy be weird. So when you're doing DPS, this is another important thing. Right now I'm running maps for EXP. So in the hero traits, okay, I didn't cover this last time, but basically you want everything from the top row. That's pretty much it. Why not Last Stand? Because you need your minions to recover HP so they can consume the HP. If they are at 1 HP, they're not consuming, so they're losing the bonus. And they don't do any damage. And Rest and Ready, because, it's the additional attack speed and additional damage. This makes them lose life. So they cannot, again, it kind of ruins the whole loop of consuming life for extra base physical damage. Separate control center with overload effect and overload damage and armor mitigation. Resistance and armor mitigation seems to be the most consistent. And Mind Dog with overload effect plus life is where damage, there's a big difference in damage here. I'll show you. When you're doing clear, another change that you could do here is switch swiftness. When you're doing single target, you add size erosion enhancement for more damage. So also this will tick up, and since I'm getting crit damage, maximum amount of damage I will get is when this is at 100 chaos. Let's do a quick test. This is with the clear setup. It's nothing massive with the whole clear setup, but it's more than enough for fast T8s. And I haven't done deep space, but you could probably run deep space with this damage because of the explode. Now let's switch to damage pets. Damage will spike a little bit. Hovering at 100 billion. Now let's do the actual DPS setup, which is we switch this to minion life. Now see how much that very similar, but as you can see it was like 104, now it's 145 max. And hovering closer to 100 mil, 100 tail. Now we can add precise erosion for some more damage bits. I have a level 21. You don't need level 21 because we don't need erosion pen. You don't need the precise erosion enhance. You can just run the regular one, but level 21 is like 1% more damage, so might as well. Of course, you need to activate the aura, otherwise. Like most of the spikes came when both Nourishment and Machine Army are active. Then the damage comes down slightly, then it spikes up again. But this is the highest stat achieved so far, like 200 bill. Which I think is pretty solid for for a lot of stuff. Almost done with this event. It mostly come down to I not knowing how to evade on this fight. It's otherwise doable with current setup. So I updated the recommendation with the most recent, which is, you know, the damage pets. Of course, you don't need this one doesn't do much for you know, the one. So if you have one for spirit mage, just use that one. If you don't have one, you don't have like another damage pet, what you do is that you put 2 damage pets on this side, and then here you just add whatever gives you the most points and use the default points, which are minion damage and additional damage. So that is also pretty good. But the life actually increases damage significantly.
Humans didn't invent
And
machines for war, but for peace.
Regarding that on their setup, you know, you could expect this 50, 60. You lose some movement speed, but if you're running God of War, then, you know, it offsets it, so it's still decent. But I like to run fast when blasting max, so I prefer using the other setup. And I'm also farming XP right now. So, candles. Still the same. Minion skill or effect. What you would want here as a third mod is probably minion damage. It's like 40% minion damage. The hybrid one, because you cannot get the regular one because it shares the slot with the minion skill level. You could get lightning and minion skill level, so that will be a +4. That will be an extremely expensive and hard to roll candle, but if you have it, definitely use that one. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions about the setup, and if you have any suggestions to get even more deeps and more defense. And thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.